It's me. Today's kind of a different video for me, and I'm hoping it's something that all of you that are gardeners will thoroughly enjoy. You can see I've got just a ginormous mess of stuff here. My seed, my planting mix, watch out guys, you can't come over here. my dogs, they don't help so much with this. And yesterday I was working on this. I got some of my little planting containers made. These are called soil blocks. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. I found out about them about 5 years ago, and I've not used them every year, but the years that I have used them have been absolutely fabulous. Let me see if I'll pick one up so that you can see how teeny tiny they are. Okay, that's the 3/4 inch size, and this is what the block looks like that makes those. And it's dirty because yesterday I was actually in the process of making them, and you had to have a trip to Jonathan Valley, so I stopped. I didn't clean anything up. I thought I'm coming right back to this, and things just went sideways. I did not get right back to it, but I don't think I'm going to have to clean it up. I think it's going to be fine once I get my mixture in here and wet again. And let me talk about these little soil blocks. Okay, as you can see, each one of these will start 20 plants. Each one of these little pieces, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. I'll start 180 plants on this little tray right here, and each of these little trays will have 40 each, and that's a wonderful, fabulous use of your space. It's obviously this size is not wonderful for everything. There are some seed that you have to step up to this largest size of soil blocker. You can see those are a couple inches square, and that would be things like maybe sunflowers, peas, things of that nature. But last year I found a size that was in between, and I'm anxious to use it. I haven't used it yet. It's just you can see this 4, 8. There's 20 in there as well. Of course it takes up a whole lot more space, and it's a plunger system, so I can actually use that standing up.
You're filming planting?
Yep. We're filming planting, Pops.
Your fence crossing's going to be ugly, but it'll work.
It's fine with me.
But it's going to be cheap.
Okay. Cheap's always a word I want to hear, especially around here. Everything's expensive. But anyway, what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, I want to tell you what the soil block materials consist of, because it is a special mixture. The reason for that is, as you can see, these little things have to stay hard and solid, and you water these trays by just gently pouring water in with just something with a little spout. Let it set for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you gently tip it and pour the water out. So you want something with a shallow side so that it's easy to pour the water out. You don't want to turn it up, or these things are just obviously just going to slide and make a huge mess. So that's one of the requirements, is you have to have something small. And as you can see, I've used these trays that come, the meat packaging trays. No, what are you doing? They're perfect. Just wash them out when you buy chicken or whatever, and I like it because they don't go into the landfill. They get a lot more use this way. And this is probably the 3rd or 4th year that I've used them, so they will benefit you if you buy meat that way. And I've also stepped up to these cafeteria trays because they'll just hold so many. And now, let me see, I wrote the recipe down, and let me see if I can just shine this on there real quickly. So if any of y'all, if my handwriting is neat enough, so any of y'all want to write this down, I'll keep it up here for a few minutes. 16 cups of peat moss, excuse me, 4 cups of compost, a quarter cup of green sand, a quarter cup of rock phosphate powder, and then when you mix it, and you want to make sure you mix those things really, really well, but when you mix the water in, you want 3 parts of dry to 1 part of water. One thing that's important, especially when you're using these small cells, is that you screen it a little bit, and I will show you why that's important in just a moment. Obviously, you don't want big pieces of chunks of wood and everything in those because they won't hold together so well. But let me just go ahead and mix some up so you can see what I'm talking about. And where am I going to set this? What did I do with that lid? There it is. All right. We got a little lid right here. I think this will put us up about the right height. Yeah. All right. Move my paraphernalia out of there. No, what are you doing? It's probably better to kind of sift your supplies or your ingredients before you even measure, to mix everything together. That way you'd get a truer measure, but I didn't do that this time. So I'm going to use, it doesn't matter what size measure, just as long as you use 3 of the dry ingredients to 1 cup of, or to 1 size of the same wet ingredient. Oops, I know I'm shaking you guys all over the place. I'll use my hand and move it around. But this is just a very, very rudimentary little sifter made out of, I think it looks like 1/4 inch hardware cloth. Can you see all that's left? A lot of it you can still break apart because that's just compost. It's still, the compost, I use the brown cow, and it's a little damp when it comes. So I want to break it apart and just kind of send it on through there, because there's nothing in it that will cause the blocks to keep from holding together. Okay, so you can see that there's still a lot of material on there that's just too big for those tiny blocks. Now, it may be fine for the larger blocks. I've never used it on the mid-size block because I haven't used the mid-size block yet. However, the mid-size block you cannot buy from, or I've never seen it on the website for, let me see, gardenersworkshop.com. The lady that owns that website, and her name is Lisa Mason Ziegler. She's the lady I took some classes from a few years ago for 2 consecutive years at the Mother Earth News Conference over in Asheville. And she's a cut flower farmer in Newport News, Virginia. And as I mentioned one time earlier, I know my favorite book, nonfiction book that I've ever had, especially on gardening, is the book written by her, and it's called Vegetables Love Flowers. Fabulous book. And I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit more up. I hope this is actually, yeah, it is. Okay, good. I saw something really funny earlier, you guys. I'll have to take you out and show you. We had a new baby calf born about a week ago, and he's funny looking, like the one I showed you guys earlier that has the motley face. He has a white face, but he has all kinds of strange black markings on his face. Well, this baby is the same. He looks just like his month or two older brother. And he was trying to play with that older sibling. It was just absolutely so darling. It was just bouncing toward it and bouncing away and bouncing toward it and bouncing away. But I'd love to be able to catch that on camera, because that would just brighten everybody's life up. There's nothing cuter than a baby calf to begin with, and a baby calf that's just frolicking and having himself a good old time. That's just precious. But all right, so there again you can see all of the leftovers that just are too big for the blocks. So I put those in just a little container on the side because I use it. That's wonderful material to use in the bottom of one of your flower pots. It gives you kind of, you've heard of the hugel culture. The hugel culture is where you put tree branches, let me see, wood chips, that sort of thing in the bottom of a pot, and it will help to preserve some moisture in your flower pots. And that's really a good thing to do, especially if you're container gardening, because you know how quickly things like tomatoes and vegetables of that nature will just very, very quickly dry out in a flower pot. Well, that does help to just retain some moisture. If you're buying the wood chips, I can't even think what, the mulch. If you're buying mulch or something from a big box store like Lowe's or Walmart or whatever, just make sure that they don't have dye in them. So many of those products have dye, and I have never done any research on it, but just off the top of my head, it sounds like it would be something that would actually damage your plants. So you probably want to get something that's all natural. And it would be better yet if you can go somewhere and get some that has already decomposed or has been shredded, you know, for more than 6 months. Just to make sure there's not too much. I think niacin maybe is the ingredient that you wouldn't want to have too much of. But I just do love the fact that it helps with moisture retention. All right. Doesn't take too much for it to moisten. I'll give you an up close of that. And that should be just about the right consistency for the soil blocks. Let's try one and see. Let me move you over here a little bit closer. I think I can do this. I don't want to move the camera around constantly, and I don't want to make you guys seasick. All right, let me see if that looks like. Yeah, maybe so. I think you can see it. All right. So I'm going to hold on to the edge. I don't hold on to the plunger because that causes it to start pushing the soil out before I'm ready for it to. And I just want to make sure that they're packed up and they're really nice and tight. Looks like it is. And then I'm going to use my little handy dandy gardening knife right here and just level the bottom off so they'll set nice and flat. All right. Get myself a little tray. Okay. And now when you plunge it down, you want to hold it up while you plunge it again, and just plunge it a couple of times while it's kind of suspended in air so that they will come on out like that. And I really, really, really encourage y'all to get Lisa Mason Ziegler's book, The Vegetables Love Flowers. I keep threatening that one of these days I want to go up. She's probably about 6 hours from where we live, but I would really love to go up there and view her farm. I know that she doesn't have it open for visitors since the COVID epidemic happened, but it may be open again pretty soon, I hope. And I'd love to go over there and just walk around. I'm planning on taking a class from her this fall. It'll be an online class in the cut flower gardening. And what do you need? But anyway, it's something I feel like I could do to earn an income on this little farm. That would be something I could do way into my senior years. And that's important when you hit 60 and 70 years old. You want to know that you're not starting a new project that's not going to be able to be carried on for too long. So, oops, that one's busted. Nala, no, shush. Ryan's. Yeah, I do have the water on. I turned the water on for Ryan to just kind of aerate his pool, and I left it on. I guess that's what he was asking me about. I forgot. That's not a good thing when you're on a spring. You never want to run the spring dry, because then it makes your water muddy for a couple of days. Don't ask me how I know that. Okay. And you can see that this actually goes pretty fast, especially when I'm not talking. I'm actually working. It goes really fast. So, and of course you can imagine that this route is definitely long-term much less expensive than buying the little plastic things. And I have used the little plastic things. Let me tell you why this is so much more successful for your plants. You have several benefits. One is that when you're growing in, let me dry my hands on something. Where's my rag? There it is. When you're growing something in plastic, then your airflow is really restricted. And even in the small cells like I typically grow in, let me go over here. And y'all just have to ignore the clutter. Right now I'm just kind of really sucked in with clutter. Just too much stuff and not enough room, but that's going to change hopefully as soon as my greenhouse gets built. And up here, or my little greenhouse, actually I'm bringing it up here. It's just going to probably store these things. Ah, there's some. All right, these things. This is the size that I typically grow in when I use the plastic, and it's a nice size. It doesn't take up a whole lot more room. Here's the problem. It doesn't allow the water to evaporate quickly enough, and it also doesn't allow any kind of air circulation. Now, the difference is with these little cells, or these little blocks, that there's constant air circulation. They dry very quickly. I know that I'm going to water them every single day, but it takes such a small amount of time. Like I said, you pour the water in. By the time you no, Kai, be quiet. By the time you get to the end of all of your trays, especially if you grow as much as I do, then it's time you can go back to the beginning and see if it has absorbed all that it needs to. If there's any still standing in it, then you're going to very, very gently pour it off. Let me put my doggies inside. I think they've decided they want to they want to bark at Ryan down there. If you can see Ryan, he's having a little blast in his pool. All right, guys, come on, inside, inside, inside. Come on, come on, come on. Kaiser, Bela, that's you. All right, go inside. There you go. I'll be a little quieter out here. While I'm turned this direction, guys, I've got to take you over and show you the baby ducks and how big they are. And Ryan's going to talk to us a little bit. Yes, I know. The other day, Hugh and I had gone to town, and the ducks came over into Ryan's enclosure, they had gotten under the fence. It was just a little bit too loose. And when we got back, it just immediately, when I saw that they were in Ryan's enclosure, it immediately concerned me. But Ryan was swimming. He was totally ignoring them. Totally ignoring them. And he was just swimming away. So I guess it just doesn't bother him that there's little, and that makes me really happy. Because that tells me that maybe they're going to be able to be family. Feathered family. But now these ducks are funny. When they walk as a unit. When someone turns around to go the other direction, they all turn around as a unit. And I have never seen one really off by itself yet. And if you can believe it, these guys are just about 6 weeks old. And they started out the size, well, of a baby chick. The size of a tiny little egg. And at this point in time, they're 12 inches long. They're beginning to get color. You can see their little wings are colored. And they're just amazing. I just couldn't believe how quickly they grew. Every time I walked downstairs to take care of them, it just seemed like they had grown. Yes? Your question is? What is your question? You have something to say to us? I know. What's going on? What's your little problem? What's your little problem? What if Pop's turned the water off? Because I overfilled your pool. I know. Tell everybody about it. Tell everybody about it. Okay. Well, let's go back to the porch. Looks like I'm down to 1% of this camera battery, so it might shoot out on me before I even finish. If you see that little garden over there, guys, that one's the one that has the broccoli, and along that back fence, that's the sugar snap peas. They're finally beginning to grow. So looks like it rained a little bit last night, but they still look a little bit wilted. But it is really hot. It is really hot out here. Okay. Yeah, my cabbages look. Excuse me. Yes, everything's blooming. Everything is blooming. Yes, Brian, I hear you, baby. I hear you. Well, let's see if I can get this. Sorry, guys. That's an up close and personal fence latch. Okay. So they're coming along. The outside leaves, they got sunburned. So they're kind of pathetic looking, but if you pull that back, you can see down close that they're nice and green and coming on strong. A little bit of cilantro and some dill. And I've got some snaps over there, some snapdragons, and some more dill back in the corner. And then some colorful beets and some sweet williams around the rock. Some nasturtiums back there in hiding. And some more nasturtiums. And some more beets. And a few more cabbages. And then there's my lettuce and spinach. It was put out a little earlier than everything else. But this isn't going to be the end purpose of these little flower beds up here. This year it was just a convenient place to put everything, and because we didn't have the big garden ready. But in years to come, it will just be a kitchen garden. All of these little flower beds will be a kitchen garden, and have hopefully some perennial flowers that will be good pollinator collar-inners. Oh, gracious. But right now this porch is really hard. We can't enjoy it because it's just housing everything. And now that Hugh has the sawmill back, we're getting ready to light in on some little buildings that will house all my gardening supplies. One that will house all the animal food containers, because we've got dog food and we've got chicken food, and then we have baby chick food. And then when the lettuce, actually probably not, over here going down the outside of this fence, I'm going to pour a pad that will have a space for the grill and for the smoker. And once we get all that stuff off of here, we might actually have somewhere to actually sit out here and just enjoy the evenings. Because right now, it's just a cluttered up work. There's the bee suit. Hugh did finish taking care of the bees the other day, by the way. But yeah, there's just constant mess. I think I need to water those little pathetic looking onions. I'm surprised they've survived this long. We have 3 little pots of carrots and a little bit of lavender. I'm going to get more water. And a little rhubarb and some echinacea, and I don't know what all this. These 3 things our little neighbor brought to us the other day. He had his 90th birthday on Sunday, but he brought me one of the giant marigolds. And I had grown lots of those a number of years ago. I didn't save the seed, thinking I could easily find the seed. And when I tried to find the seed, I couldn't. So he brought me this giant marigold. And as soon as that puppy has flowers, I am saving the seed, because they're wonderful. If you've never grown them, they're about 3 feet tall. And the most wonderful scent. They smell more like, they smell like a cross between a marigold and carnation. So that's interesting. But all right, back to here. So I think what I'm going to do is try this mid-size one, this guy, for the seeds like yeah, like cucumber. I think cucumber seeds, that's just way too big for there. Any kind of the marigold seed, I'll probably start in that. That's a little big. Then, you know, watermelon seed and all that sort of thing, I may need to start in this one. But I know this one definitely would be used for like peas and anything, nasturtiums, anything has those really big seed. I don't know. I need to get busy though, and it's hard for me to work and talk. I enjoy fisting with y'all. Maybe I'll come back and when I've got all these blocks put together and show you what I've got going on then. But please just in the comments let me know how your day's going and what's going on in your life. I do read them and I appreciate them very much. And you all have just a blessed week. I'm not sure what day this will come out, but today is Tuesday. So, no, today is Wednesday. See, I don't even, Hugh says that, you know, since we're both retired, that we don't even know what day of the week it is anymore, and he's right. But, all right, folks, I'll talk to you the next time around. It's me signing off. Bye-bye.